Assalamualaikum everyone. This is once again Brother JoArs Alferez of the Order of the Discalced Carmelite Secular. So I'm going to share with you this topic about power and leadership. There is a saying, there's a question. What barriers discourage people from thinking and taking responsibility? If you will be asked with this question, I think in your mind you have an idea why people discourage, what are the barriers why people discourage in thinking and taking responsibility. So what do you think? The barriers: leadership, communication skills, the relationship, maybe, etc., etc. Then if managing is about thinking, then leading is about getting other people to think. So once again, if managing is about thinking, then leading is about getting other people to think. So these are the two different things. Managing is thinking, while leading is getting other people to think. The management expert says that part of the problem of the most organizations today is that they are over-managed about the under-led. Intende ito? Management expert says that part of the problem the most organizations today is that they are over-managed but under-led. You look at our LGUs, pwede bang example yun? According to the experts, when we talk about problems. Then, what is better? With a question. To be a leader or to be a manager? What do you think? And I think you have the subject about this. Leader versus manager. What do you think is the better? To be a leader or to be a manager? So we'll tackle this one. All of them is better, but we have to see the difference between leaders and the managers. Take note. When it's about managers, administer, while leaders evaluate. Managers maintain, leaders develop. Managers control while leaders inspire. Managers short-term view while the leaders have this long-term view. Managers ask how, then leaders ask what and why. Leaders simply imitate while managers imitate while leaders originate. Then managers accept the status quo while leaders challenge the status quo. Managers get the job while leaders change what the job is. Managers measure, then leaders establish direction. Managers is consistent or constant while leaders is changing. From these two different aspects about leaders and managers, both are good, but which that we belong? What do you think? And of course, we are all leaders. You, the police officers, are our leaders. Can we be called managers? Yes, in some sense, we can also be a manager. Because sabi dito, to be a manager is practical, reasonable, decisive. While leaders, medyo makikita natin level up. Bakit? Because it's visionary, empathetic, and flexible. So between the two, dapat we will choose being a leader because we are all leaders. What about the nature of leadership? Take note of this. the ability to influence people towards attainment of organizational goals. Then leadership is reciprocal, occurring among people. Leadership is a people activity distinct from administrative paper shuffling or problem solving activities. Then leadership is a dynamic and involves the use of power. That's more on the nature of leadership. Then, managers are people who do things right. And I think we mentioned that in the previous previous presentation. Then, leaders are people who do the right thing. That's according to Warren in becoming a leader. So once again, managers are people who do things right. Then leaders are people who do the right thing. So once again, if you notice, pare-pareho lang ba? Are there similarities? Or may mga differences? More or less, they are similar. But once again, if you look at to the deepest meaning, they are also different. Tama ba ako? Or may tama kayo? Okay? Once again, managers are people who do the things right, while leaders are people who do the right thing. Sir, parang binaliktad lang man yan. But that's a two different thing, according to Warren Bennis. So we move on. Between leader and manager, you look at this diagram. Okay? When it's about a manager, that's more on management. Managers but not a leader. While leadership, leaders but not a managers. So, magkahiwalay talaga sila. But, you look at that Venn diagram, though magkahiwalay, pero may connection pa rin sa bawat isa. They overlap. Pero yan, you look at that two circle, that diagram. They overlap with each other, pero yun yung titingnan natin na mabuti as leader. So we need competent, dedicated managers to provide continuity of process, to ensure program productivity, and to control the scheduled materials needed for the production and services delivery. We also need people who can infuse the organization with common values that define the organization, determine its character, link it to the larger society, and ensure its long-term survival. That's according to Fairholm in the Values Leadership. That was a book in 1999. Now, the characteristic of a successful leaders, managers. Both have the ability to develop or adapt, the ability to establish collaborative relation, the ability to build and lead team, non-authoritarian, consistent, is exceptional performance, then ambitious. So those are the characteristics of a successful managers and leaders. What about the characteristics of unsuccessful managers and leaders? Inability to develop or adapt, poor working relations, inability to build and lead a team. It's also authoritarian, poor performance, too ambitious. So this is the unsuccessful manager and leader. Next, may sinasabi to, give 3 words or phrase that best describe what power or what power means to you. So kung face-to-face tayo, all of you, I think you have an idea. What is power? Kung tatanungin ka, kung anong ibig sabihin sa power. But still, we move on. What about this power? So, power is the prime mover of people and event. That's another definition. That's power. Another thing is the ability to make things happen the way you want to. So that's also power. Next is to give someone else to do something you want them to do. So yun yung where pa. Then the essence of power now is, take note, influence over the behavior of others. So that's the essence now. Then, power is considered as going beyond mere influence and persuasion. Going mere influence and persuasion. Remember the previous topic that a leader should be influencer and marunong mag-persuade but not manipulative. Now, if you have power, so go beyond influence and persuasion but not to manipulate. Iba yung manipulation. Then, no longer considered as synonymous with controlling others. Okay? Then, neither it is blind faith, mindless obedience, or robotic servitude. So, now, that's another thing when we talk about werpa. Then, power is the ability to lead and inspire. That's another definition. And I think that's also self-explanatory, the ability to lead and inspire as leader. You have whereby you have therefore the ability to lead and inspire. It is based on trust, respect, wholeheartedness, commitment, freely given and earned. So that's power. So wise use of power creates, builds, and transforms. So that's why this is a challenge to all of us to use wisely your power as leader, our power, to create, to build, and transform. Then, what about this abusive use of power? Of course, talagang naninira. The abusive use of power is to destroy. Kaya nga, do not abuse your power. Especially you as our leader. So, there are two kinds of power. First, the position power. What about the position power? Take note. This power is created and conveyed by the organizations, emanates from top-level management, and it's delegated down to the chain of command. Kayo may leader or chief of staff, the president. Then meron kayong susunod, the general. Sino na ngayon? Yung dati si Bato. Ngayon, pinalitan na. Then after that, pagpapalitan, mayroon namang susunod. But that's a position power created and conveyed by the organization. Emanates from the top level. Kaya nga, sabi ng mga kakilala, mga estudyante kong colonel, mahirap magiging general kasi palakasan, kapit-kapit din sa politician. So that, in order to have that position, power. But well, yun yung mga kalakaran sa Pilipinas. Another is personal power. What about this personal power? This power is derived from freely given by members of the work team or group. So look at the drawing. Kanina, posisyon. Ngayon, derived freely given by the members of the group or a team. Kagaya sa inyo. In your company, position ba yung power ng mga presidente niyo, mga officers ninyo? Or a personal power which is derived freely given by the members or teamwork? I think this is more on personal power, not the position power. Kuha natin. Next, the personal power, it comes from one's status, position, or title, but is built from one's relationship with other members of the work or team. Kaya sabi ko, mga assignment natin, care of our president, kasi siya yung may hinirang ninyo, okay, from the members in your team or in your group or in your company. So later in our GC, I'll send this to you because this is a good video clips regarding the power of the team. So take note, there are phases, 4 phases of position power. First is legitimate power. What about this legitimate power? This is based on one's position in the organization. Employees tend to feel that they ought to do what the supervisor says, even if they may have personal objection to it. That's legitimate power. Kaya sundin mo kasi yun ang especially in the organization. Like me, in the university, I have my president. Kung ano mang iutos sa presidente, of course, I have to follow because he is my supervisor. Even if may have personal objection to it. But kung may mga personal objection, I think you can also open up, especially if you have a good relationship with with your superior. Now, you know the first phase of position power, which is legitimate power. Then legitimate power leads to mere compliance or lip service, doing something to please the authority figure with a little concern for the quality of work. So, medyo pangit din. Okay, itong legitimate power. Just for the sake. Sunod ka lang. Pero, problema with little concern for the quality of work. So, nangyayari ba yan sa ating organization? Sabi ko, nangyayari din. Okay? Then, appropriate only when asking people to do something that is within the scope of their job. Next is coercive power. So, under phase, one of the phases of the position power, coercive power. What is coercive power? This power is the extent to which a person has the ability to punish physically or psychologically, inflict harm on someone else, or to deny desired rewards. Medyo masakit. Nangyayari ba sa inyong training noon? May mga trainees tayo ngayon? Nangyayari ba? Because of that coercive power? May nasasaktan? Pinapanis? Sir, no problem with that because that's part and parcel of that training. Well, wala tayong problema dyan. Pero pag sobra-sobra na din yan, kaya nga sabi, inflict harm to someone else or to deny desired rewards. That's coercive power. What about this reward power? The number 3 phase of position power. This power is an extent to which a person controls the rewards that another person values. Naintindihan naman siguro natin yan. Then, this type of power is also known as a utility power. The relationship is based on the exchange of goods and services. Sir, tulungan mo naman ako, sir, kasi kami na bahala sa iyo, sir. Nangyayari sa inyo in a real life. In the community, may lalapit na tao. Nangyayari yan, whether we like it or not. Okay? So that's more on a reward power. Kami nang bahala, sir. Okay? Alam mo naman kalakaran dito, sir. Ayun ang problema. Bigyan ka ng reward. Then, what about this connection power? Medyo mas malala din ito. You can call a friend. This is based on power relationship with influential people. Kilala ko man si congressman. Pariente ko man yang si mayor. Ganito, ganyan. That's a connection power. Influential people. It relies on the use of contacts or a friend. Kaya nga, call a friend itong connection power. Okay. So, yan ang mga nangyayari sa phases of power. Then there are also 3 phases of position power. Kanina yung 4 huwag kalimutan yon. That's more the 4 phases of position power. Now, this one naman is phases on the personal power. First is referent power. The referent power exists when a person or a group identifies with the power source or imitates the power source. Kaya nga referent exists when a person or group identifies with the power source or imitates the power source. Kaya nga referent power siya. That's more on personal. Gaya-gaya lang kasi nakita, asundin na lang. Then what about this information power? The information power exists when a person is powerful due to the information he possesses or she possesses. Ang dami kong alam, ganito ganyan, ako nang bahala, may power ako, akong nakakaalam lahat. Kaya nga, yun yung information power. Once again, exists when a person is powerful due to the information he or she possesses. Yung siya lang nakakaalam, siyang daming alam. Then information is a lifeblood of an organization and should be freely shared unless it is categorized as confidential. Dapat i-share if it is not confidential. Pero kayo may mga confidentiality din kayo, pero ang punto dyan, kung hindi naman confidential, dapat lifeblood of the organization itong information. Then we have the expert power. From the word expert, alam naman natin, exists when a person is powerful due to his or her skill, knowledge, experience, or specialized competency. Diba I told you in the previous topic, if you know na may mga baguhang pulis, maganda yung relasyon, tapos pag okay ang team, so therefore doon mo sila madiscover na may mga skills, may alam siya. Kaya nga itong expert power sa IT, sa writing, speaking, etc., etc. And with that, it will make your work in your organization easier kung may mga expert. Kaya kasi yung may power, kasi yung may alam. At do not, yung think that you are a jack of all trade, na kayo na nakakaalam sa lahat. Okay? Pero may mga tao din ganyan. Jack of all trade, but expert of nothing. Okay? So as a leader, you must consistently make a choice as to the type of power base you want to have. So ikaw nakakaalam, personal power, position power. Sa personal power may apat, position power may apat na phases, then sa personal power merong tatlong phases. Then leaders are leaders only as long as they have the respect and loyalty of their people. Take note of this, ha? You can be called leader if you have the respect and loyalty of your people. Look at our former President Duterte. He was able to gain the respect and loyalty to you as police officers and to the military. And why? Times 2 good yung sweldo ninyo. Pero sa amin mga teachers, hanggang yaw-yaw lang kami. Pinangkungakuhan, umalis na lang siya. Ngayon sa education, pumalit ang anak, wala pa rin nangyari. So medyo dismayado. The respect and loyalty, nagmahay. Ngayon, another thing, ang ating chief of staff, inyong chief of staff naman, giilad lang kita sa 20 pesos. But ulitin ko, leaders are leaders only as long as they have respect and loyalty of their people. Of course, you have to respect the president. Doon pa man yan. What about the loyalty? Hindi naman sinabi, hindi ka loyal, hindi ka magrebelde ka na. Pero yan, pero malinaw ito, leaders only as long as they have the respect of and loyalty of their people. Next, what about the so-called real power? The real power empowers other. Kung mayroon kang ganito, it is built on the mutual trust, respect, communication, shared values. So ito talaga, real, totoo na nakapangyarihan. Built on mutual respect, communication, and shared values. So it is grounded on commitment and to achieve the organization's objective. That's a real power. So the three results or outcomes of power. First is commitment. So this is the result or the outcome of powers. Commitment is the result when the manager is also a leader. Kaya nga, a leader and a manager, they also overlap. Okay? That's why commitment result when the manager and leader, then people are committed to the person and therefore respond favorably to his or her attempt to influence them. Commitment is a positive outcome of power. So take note of positive outcome of power. That's why for us in our work, we have to be committed so that we'll be productive. And our organization mas maganda. Kaya nga, wag maging skalawag kasi nakasira ka at ang commitment na yon is in question. Okay? Then compliance is another outcome of power. Of course, when the boss is strictly a manager but has a little leadership quality, employees follow the result but do not have any personal stake in the result. Compliance is a neutral result of power. The commitment is the positive outcome of power. Ito naman, compliance is the neutral result of power. If the boss is strictly a manager with a little leadership quality. Then the third, the resistance happens when a supervisor's power base is weak or inconsistent with the situation. In this case, employee actively resists the attempt to influence them. Then resistance is the negative result of power. So, ulit-ulitin niyo itong pakinggan ha. Kasi during your examination, talagang lalabas ito. Okay? The negative result, the positive result, the neutral result of power. Then, what about leadership? Now, my dear police officers, you know what is power. The different kinds of phases of power. Alam natin ya, there are two kinds, personal as well as position. Then, under that, may under din sila. Now, what about leadership? Kasi our topic is more on leadership, power and leadership. Kaya nga, iniisa-isa natin yung definition of terms. According to Stephen Covey, in the 8th habit, ito yung 8th habit, leadership is communicating to people their worth and potential so clearly that they come to see it in themselves. So that's leadership for Stephen Covey. By the way, there are a lot of definitions of leadership in which they are also interrelated. That's according to the different authors also. But Stephen Covey is very well-known well-known authors, which that's why he said leadership is communicating to the people their worth and potential so clearly that they come to see it in themselves. Leadership matters. Then leadership makes a difference in the result we create and the quality of life we live. So it depends on us. Nasa ating mga kamay itong leadership, which makes a difference in the result we create and the quality of life we live. That's according to Anderson and William Adams, as well as in their book Mastering Leadership. So to conclude about these leaders, power and leadership, take note on this. The conclusion of this topic, first, the problem when it comes to power in its usage. As a police manager or a leader, take note, number one, don't overuse your power. Do not overuse your power. Bakit? Kasi you have to take the consequences. Okay, that's why this is an advice. Do not overuse your power. Second, do not underuse your power. So, opposite naman ito. Sobra-sobra, ito naman, do not underuse your power. Okay? Kasi police officer ka, tapos mas powerful pa ang ibang tao na constituent mo lang, ay, tingnan mo, underuse. Okay? Then, not to use your power. Pwede ba yun? Do not overuse, do not underuse, o pwedeng do not use your power. And why? Kasi especially sa mga tao, makita lang na naka-uniform kayo, it speaks a lot that you are in that position. Kuha natin. Your presence speaks a lot in the community, especially pag naka-uniform ba. O kahit na hindi ka naka-uniform, basta kilala ka na pulis yan. Okay? Kuha natin. Then, but use your power according to your mandate for the betterment. Of course, you're a police officer, may mandato kayo, you are our protector, of course, that's the time to use your power. Power to yourself, for the betterment of yourself, for the betterment of your subordinate, especially the young ones. Then, of course, for the betterment of the PNP organization. And, of course, for the betterment of humanities. Kuha natin. So, lastly, according to Adams, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Take note, maganda itong sinabi ni John Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. So now you know very well about power and leadership. So for your assignment, sa grupo, ang gagawin ko, mag-post lang ako sa ating GC. Siguro mga guide question na dapat sagutin. So the same process, ganun pa rin sa the first two topics. Pero isubmit yung first two ha, at saka ito. Isulat ko na lang sa ating GC ang mga katanungan dito sa power and leadership. So God bless everyone. I hope you learned something, my dear police officers. Dalaygon ang Diyos. This is your friend, Brother JoArs Alferez.